coming up next on The Hunt for the Sandow. (1991) America's at war. The Gulf War. The New York Giants win the Super Bowl over the Buffalo Bills.
Norwood who gets the shot now with 8 seconds to play. Oh boy, hearts beat faster in Buffalo. This shot will be 47 yards. Reich waiting for the snap, puts it down on the way. It's long enough, and it is no good. He missed it to the right with 4 seconds to play.
Rodney King takes a beating in Los Angeles.
April 18th, 1991.
You've seen the videotape, but what really happened that night in Los Angeles?
The Chicago Bulls win their first NBA title.
Bulls, greeted by a portion of this foreign crowd. The Chicago Bulls' domination of this series has to be considered a major surprise.
The Maryland Muscle Machine becomes the NPC national champion.
Move to Kevin Levrone from Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Now, to me, he looks just a tad sharper than he did the last time I saw him. Look at this. He cut his hair. He cut his hair, too, right? He looks great.
1991, Orlando, Florida. Disney World, at the Dolphin Hotel, the home of the Joe Weider 1991 Mr. Olympia Championships. The top 6 finalists take the stage. Breaking into the top 6 would be the Samoan by way of Australia, the oldest competitor on stage, 39-year-old Sonny Schmidt, who would later go on to win the Masters Olympia in 1995. Sean Ray coming off a 3rd place finish at the Mr. Olympia and 2 consecutive Arnold Classic championships. Misses his peak.
Time that I compete, I learn something about myself. It's forced me to do a lot of soul searching, and consequently, I have really gotten it together this year, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
The Mass with Class. 2-time first Mr. Olympia runner-up from 1989 and 1990. Lena Brada takes the stage to show us how it's done. Vince the Quiet Storm Taylor, who skipped the 1990 Mr. Olympia, returns to 1991 and in grand fashion rocks the house. Enter the Shadow, Dorian Yates, making his first Mr. Olympia appearance from England.
Gotta have some action. I just sit around and thought only about training for a Mr. Olympia contest. I would go crazy. So I like being competitive in business, in my social life, and everything that I do. I like doing what they say can't be done. But there's a lot of guys chasing me. It's the sport of bodybuilding has grown tremendously and so have the number of competitors. So yes, I do have a lot of added competition that Arnold didn't have to face during this era. But even if you were to put Arnold in this era, he would still reign supreme next to Lee.
And finally, Lee Haney takes to the stage for the final time in 9 consecutive Mr. Olympia appearances for what would ultimately be his 8th consecutive victory. The top 6 finalists take the stage.
Turn to the rear. Relax. Turn to the rear. One leg back. Double bicep. Relax and turn to the front. Relax.
Dorian Yates stands shoulder to shoulder on the verge of making history. As the results are announced.
To the second place winner, who is?
And just like that,
Dorian Yates.
Lee Haney walks into the record books with a record 8 Mr. Olympia titles and 8 Eugene Sandow trophies, becoming the greatest bodybuilder of all time. The hunt for the Sandow is brought to you by 2020 Mr. Olympia Championships and by Protan USA. Also by S Force Watches and DigitalMuscle.com.